Is it recording?
Oh yeah, it's recording. Hold on, let me bring up the articles that I need. My hair itches. Oh.
Whenever you're ready.
Dude, hold on. Okay, which one am I starting with? Epidural?
Well, we gotta just introduce the video.
Okay.
God, this is the most unprofessional. We're just so unprofessional.
Don't put this in the video.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
All right. So a lot of people have been very curious about spinal cord injury research, what my future could look like as far as walking again, any sort of recovery of function. And we decided to do a video about it now as there's some exciting news that was just released. So we're going to tell you about that. But first, we want to give you a little background on all of the options that are available for people with spinal cord injuries to try and recover some function if they can't do so naturally, kind of like me.
People say if you're determined and you get all this physical therapy and whatnot, you'll be able to walk again. But it honestly isn't that, because if it were determination, Cole would be walking the second day.
I would be sprinting in the Olympics.
Yeah. So.
But it's not about willpower. It's not about determination or how hard you work. It's simply about the severity of your injury.
Cole's injury, his spinal cord is pretty damaged. Connection from his brain to the rest of his body through his spinal cord is cut off.
My spinal cord is perfectly healthy above my injury, and then below my injury, it's also perfectly healthy. The problem, like Charisma was saying, is there's just no connection. There are incomplete injuries out there where it's not so severely damaged and some signals are still making it through. And those are the people who you see on the news who, miraculously started walking again because they were able to rehab and they were able to get that function back because signals were still making it through. So for people like me, we have to wait on science to bring some sort of cure or whatever, some modality that's going to give us function back. Mm-hmm. So right now there are kind of 4 really promising modalities or techniques that are being used on people with spinal cord injuries. One is stem cells or R stem cells. And the second,
epidural stimulator.
The third is tendon transfer available.
And the fourth one is really exciting, and it's nerve transfers.
And that's what the new research is about. And we'll talk about that last. All right. So jumping into stem cells, how stem cells are being used. And before we get into that, I want to say there's a lot of controversy kind of surrounding stem cells because people have an idea about how stem cells are extracted that is kind of wrong. They think that it requires like aborted fetuses and that sort of stuff. And that is not the case at all. So there's no reason to be against stem cells because you can get stem cells from mucus, you can get it from urine, you can get it from feces, you can get it from anywhere. Nobody's trying to hoard their feces or urine. So I think people are okay with us taking that for stem cells. And actually, mucus and urine has shown to be some of the most promising sources of stem cells when it comes to spinal cord injury research, which is not what you would expect, probably.
No, I did not know that.
No, that's not. But stem cells, they're really challenging because when you introduce stem cells to a foreign environment, they have to not only be able to mature from baby stem cells into actual functioning neurons, but they also have to be able to connect within the system. Your spinal cord has a very, very intricate sort of network, and it's all connected in very intricate ways, and there are different fibers and tracks and pathways and all that sort of stuff. So right now, we've been able to grow stem cells to a mature state within the injury site of people with spinal cord injuries. But the problem has been connecting them once they're fully grown to those tracks and pathways so that they can actually function in a way that returns function to the person. So that's been the challenge with stem cells. And some studies have shown that there's a little bit of restoration, like a few levels of function. Now, that's still really exciting because for me, a few levels of function means I would probably get my hands back, I would have triceps back so I could raise my arm up. That's a game changer in a ton of different ways. So that's still really exciting, but it's not the cure-all yet where you can put in stem cells and I'm going to be able to get my whole body back. It's not quite there. But still, stem cells are kind of on the forefront of the research and are still being incorporated in the most progressive trials that are happening right now.
Yep.
That's the first one.
So the second one, epidural stimulator.
Mm-hmm.
So with this procedure, it's not invasive. It's a little invasive, but it's not
Minimally invasive.
terrible. Yeah. So they will insert like a little chip, I guess is the best way to explain it, into your spinal cord below the site of injury. So wherever that injury may be, it's just right below that to connect, the brain signals to the rest of the body. So if there's something that's coming through but stopping at that point, that epidural stimulator will use up all that energy and spread it to the rest of the body, basically. So it'll really help send those messages to the body to help do what it needs to do. So they have tried this with patients.
Chronic patients, so years out of their injury when they haven't been able to do anything.
Mm-hmm. So they're able to stand. They're able to have control over their bladder and bowel, which is a big deal.
That's hugely important.
Yeah. Most people with spinal cord injuries, I don't want to say it 100% because nothing's 100%, but most people do not have control over their bowel and bladder.
Right.
Yeah.
And most people also would put bowel and bladder function above regaining the ability to walk.
Yeah.
They'd rather have that back. And you can put me in that category because that'd be a game changer for me.
Yeah. And then lastly, sexual function is also restored, which is a pretty big deal for a lot of people as well. So they have found that when this epidural stimulator is turned off, that those patients still had bladder and bowel control as well as sexual function control. So
after having used the stimulator for a while and rehabbing.
Yeah. So of course with this procedure, you're going to have to go through extensive rehab. You want to make sure your body is strong. So I think typically they do rehab before inserting the epidural stimulator to make sure like your muscles and your bones are strong, and then they insert it, and then you practice the whole standing and everything. Because if you have no exercise and you insert the epidural stimulator and you stand, you can break something very easily.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I continue to work out. Maybe I'm not going to be able to get any function back on my own naturally, but when the day comes when there's a really promising trial or there's some sort of treatment I can undergo that's going to give me some function back, I need to have a body that's ready. If I don't, then I'm just going to be putting myself a year or two behind because I got to work back into it. And I don't even know if that's something that you can get back once it's totally lost. So you just got to maintain your health.
Exactly. So for the third one, it is tendon transfer. So the goal with tendon transfer is to restore strength. So what they do is take a tendon from the bicep area and transfer it to the tricep area. A lot of people with quadriplegia with Cole's level have biceps but do not have triceps. So these are for patients who don't have triceps and want triceps to, make transferring easier and to pick up things and to reach
Pushing
for
a
things
wheelchair.
and to push the wheelchair. Your biceps are on the top of your arm, and there's two muscles with two tendons going into the insertion point. I'm not going to get too medical here. And then your triceps, there are three muscles with three tendons coming from each muscle. So they'll take one of the bicep tendons, because you have two, so you can give up one, to put it into one of the triceps because you have none. So you are losing a little bit of strength with your within your bicep, but you're making that sacrifice to have strength in your triceps. And eventually, it'll all work out, even out, because it'll just restore strength that you just didn't have. Yeah. And then you'll learn to use what you have, within your bicep area. So with this surgery, because you're removing an entire tendon, the scarring is, pretty big. You can tell that something was removed there.
Doesn't look as natural as a regular tricep would, so it's a little more noticeable. They can also do it for other muscle groups as well. So and Charisma's going to tell you about that right now. I'm just so excited about SCI Research.
So you also have wrist flexors and wrist extensors. So these are your flexors, these are extensors. Cole has extensors, but he doesn't have flexors. He can't do that unless he does that. So they can also transfer a tendon from your wrist extensors, and these muscles will be on this part of your arm, to your wrist flexors, which are going to be on this side of your arm. So they can also do that tendon transfer as well. You can tell that, something was removed, and then you're going to have to learn how to use that muscle to flex this side. It can be awkward. Yeah, it can be kind of awkward, and it takes a lot of extensive therapy after it's done as well. But having wrists, it could help you pick up a cup or help you pick up something. It could help you ride a motorcycle.
I will not be doing that, I promise you. But I actually had a consultation to do that that like wrist tendon transfer, I don't have enough strength. Like these are not strong enough that there's enough muscle or tendons or however it works to be pulled around to give me the other thing, whatever this one's called.
Flexors.
I thought that was interesting because like Charisma was saying, there's definitely a trade-off. You're really losing some strength. So, I mean, I might have totally lost this ability if we did that transfer. Exactly. And this is huge for me. So I know it seems like a small function, but it translates to a lot of ability.
Yeah. Well, we talked about tendinosis. I know I always say that. We talked about tendinosis. And the reason Cole has tendinosis is because he has those wrist extensors. If he loses those wrist extensors, he can't do tendinosis anymore.
Right. Now, the final thing, and what has just come out in the news recently, is nerve transfer to be distinguished from tendon transfer. Yeah. So nerve transfer is very, very cool. Your spinal cord is what's controlling all of your muscle function. But your brain sends the message to your spinal cord, and then your spinal cord can only work through those muscles via nerves. Below your level of injury, your spinal cord can't communicate with the brain, therefore can't communicate with your nerves. What's really cool though is that the nerves that your spinal cord can communicate with can be transferred to other muscle groups below your level of injury. So for example, a nerve that might be running from my spinal cord to my shoulder, which I can use very well. This is how I dance.
Your auxiliary nerve, I think.
This is my dance. That can be transferred into another nerve line that might run to my tricep or the muscle group that controls a lot of my hand function.
Musculocutaneous.
That thing. And so by doing that, it's connecting a muscle group that right now I don't have access to essentially above my level of injury, which I do have access to. Now, it's a little bit more tricky than just like reconnecting a wire, like plugging an aux cord from this aux to that aux, it's not quite like that. What happens is because the nerve from here to my shoulder is a little bit shorter and the nerve that communicates with the muscle groups all the way down on my wrist near my hands, that's a lot longer. So it has to grow that whole length, and nerves grow very slowly. Like we're talking months, year plus. And so that whole time, what you need to do is rehab pretty extensively, work on that. And then finally, once that connection's there, you have to start tapping into it. And that's the tricky part too, because kind of like the tendon transfer, in my mind, I'll be activating my shoulder muscles when really it's going to be opening up my hand or using my tricep. Now, I'm sure that it becomes pretty instinctual once you do it after a while, but in the beginning, that's going to be a mind trip, literally trying to think about, all right, let me pick up this cup with my shoulder, It's weird. But they did it on a quad who's a similar level as me, and he got triceps back so he can raise his arm up more than me, and he can open his hands and do a little bit of his finger function. So that is huge because like I was mentioning earlier, just a little bit of tricep and hand function gives me a whole new level of independence and ease and quality of life that would be transformative. So I'm really excited about that.
It'd be exciting. I mean, I'm all for it. The first thing that came to my mind is when we were talking about it, he can do his own ICs.
What's the first thing I thought of?
What?
Diapers.
Diapers.
If I got some hand function back,
yeah.
I could do the diapers.
You could change babies. That would be so awesome.
Also, you know what I thought about?
What?
If I could transfer out of bed on my own in the middle of the night, I can go get the baby and rock the baby back to sleep and all that.
Feed the baby, Change the baby's diaper. Well, I couldn't
feed the baby because I don't have the milk, but...
You can get a bottle. Oh my gosh. Or you can pick up the baby, bring it to me in bed, and then I can feed the baby, and then you put it back in bed.
That's true.
So let's hope this happens within 5 years because that's when we plan on working on that. So, but yeah.
It makes me excited.
It makes me excited too.
Yeah. So that's what's exciting us right now in the world of SCI research. If you have some questions about it, let us know in the comments and we'll do our best to address it.
Yeah.
We know we're not like the most educated,
oh, no.
and we might have gotten a couple little details wrong in there, but on the whole, we're pretty confident that's what it's like.
Yeah. So we hope that this has answered some questions that you may have had regarding Cole ever walking again. Of course, this is something that we both want. We want to see. I want to see Cole walk again. I would love to see that.
I want to see it too.
And Cole would love to walk again as well. So we think it's something that is coming with the amount of research and technology that is being developed. Well, we hope you guys learned something from this and we answered some of your questions, updating you on SCI Research.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and stay positive. Woo! You want to walk up and do it?
Yeah, let me get on my chair.